Hello crafty friends, thank you for joining me again. This is Kathy at Attic Treasures, etc. And I wanted to share a little mini journal that I made for a friend of mine who's dealing with some health challenges right now. And I thought I would just do a little flip through with you, and then maybe we could make one together. So I got the original idea from Natasha at Treasure Books, and I'll link her channel down below. But I just kind of put my own little spin on it, and I hope you enjoy it. So it's a little mini journal. It's decorated on the front with this embellishment here and some Tim Holtz flowers and butterflies. There's a little key and a lock. And then there's a little spot for a tag right here. So the whole point of this little journal was to encourage her, and as she moves forward with her progress. It's also decorated on the back with a cluster that I made a while back, and another little tuck spot for a tag. Pause to reflect. So let's go inside. It's just I'm using baker's twine to tie it off. And it's really simple. There's a place here. I just put some extra papers for her to journal on if she wanted to, and encouraging scripture, some more little tags that she can use as bookmarks or whatever she wants to do with them. Some paper with a lace trim here on the end with a punch. Some more fussy cutting, and then I'll just kind of flip through and you can see how I collaged and decorated it in a way that I hoped would encourage her. So just use some scrap fabric. I made a little button out of one of the circle punches that I did with some book page. A little dangle that I made using the thread that I left long on purpose just to add something there. This is balanced, just a little sewing here. And then this is a little CD flip that I made with a CD case. I can show you how to do that in a separate video. But I put some journaling cards in here, made them out of a file folder. So this is decorated inside and out. Place for her to write on the inside. And another journaling card. Tried to pull them both out at the same time. So a little journaling card on the back with some stenciling. And a stamp. Just some fussy cutting. Washi tape, another little dangle. And another little place for some, this is blank paper on the inside. I just did some stenciling. And then some collaging here, and another little tag that I just collaged on. These are just little clothing tags that I saved back. And then in this side I put a card with a message for her. So I really like the way this turned out, and I'd really like to share the process with you of how I made it. So I'm going to put this away for now, and when I come back we'll go ahead and show you how I made it. Hello, I'm back, and I had to put on a sweater because it's kind of chilly in here now. But what I grabbed was this 12 by 12 square sheet of paper, and again, to make these you need to, it doesn't, I wouldn't go too much smaller than this. You could go 8 by 8, but it just needs to be square. So the first thing you want to do is figure out which side you want to have showing. So this is double-sided paper, and it's not too thick. You can go a little bit thicker, but heavy cardstock won't really work. So I think I want this side up. It's kind of a busy pattern, I would admit, but I think it'll be fine once it's done, and I think it's kind of cute. It sort of reminds me of spring. So anyway, what we're going to do is, this is the side I want to have showing mostly on the outside of my little journal. So I'm going to start with that on the bottom. Now the first thing you want to do is fold it from corner to corner, fold it on the diagonal, and you try to line it up the best you can. Okay, I'm going to check real quick to see if I'm in frame here. Okay, looks good. All right, so we're going to do the best we can, corner to corner. And you can see it's a little bit off because, you know, these papers when you get them. They aren't exactly square, but that's pretty good. And you can take a little sliver off of here. So I think I'm going to actually do that. So I'm just going to line up my ruler, get my little craft knife out, and hopefully it's sharp. But just to make sure, I'm going to sharpen it a little bit. This is just a little bowl that I have with a ceramic covering, and it's just like clay, like stoneware. So I'm just doing this on the clay part, and that will sharpen my blade, hopefully sufficiently, to be able to just cut this little sliver off. When you have tiny little spaces like this, tiny little slivers, you need your blade to be really super sharp. Okay. There we go. Look at that. Okay, so don't forget that trick with the clay. So if you have a terracotta pot or something like that, it should work. I think also China will work, but I haven't tried that, so I can't say for sure. Okay, we'll set that aside. Okay, now along this folded edge, basically what you're doing is you're going to fold it in thirds. But if you want to be precise, you can measure it 5 5/8 inch from each end. And then that'll get you in exactly the right spot. But this is a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, so you might have to adjust that. But basically, like I said, you're folding it in thirds. This just makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so that's 5/8. 5 5/8. I'm just going to put a little mark here. And then do the same thing on the other side. I made a whole bunch of these for the staff at one of the nursing homes in the area, and they came out really cute. I'll put them up on my Instagram page so you can see them. But I used scrapbooking paper that I have in my stash. Okay. So we're going to fold right along here, and another kind of good trick is to find your pencil mark and put it on, you know, line it up to your mat, and then line up your ruler, and that way you know you're going to be able to get a nice square fold. Unless you have a scoreboard, and you can use your scoreboard as well. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay. Just line it up. Use metal rulers. This is one of the better investments I've made, and it was pretty cheap. If you have a Harbor Freight or something like that around, boy, that's the place to go. So like I said, see, basically you're going to fold it in thirds. And eventually, you know, if you do a few of these, you won't need to measure. You just need to be able to kind of eyeball it and fold it in thirds. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to open it up, and we are going to refold along the score lines. This way? Yep, this way. So these are the ones that we just scored. And we're going to fold it so that it is shaped like a burrito. Okay? So now we want to turn it this way, and we're going to score these lines so that, to make a fold mark there as well. So again, the easiest way to do that is just to line it up if you have one of these craft mats, and line up your ruler, excuse me, and just fold it like so. Once you make a few of these, you'll be whipping them out like nobody's business, because even though it seems like a lot of steps, after a while you'll just be able to do it while you're watching TV and not even hardly have to think about it. Okay. Now, we are going to it around again and fold it in the middle. And we want to fold it this way. Or this way, actually, because that's the part I want showing. And these are going to be folded to the outside, like so. So probably should have scored it on going in this direction. Line it up and get it going here. It's going to fold this way, and then this part is going to fold the other way. Line it up, and voila. Alrighty. Okay, so this is basically the first part of the journal, okay? So at this point, you're going to figure out where you want to have your pockets. So I want a pocket here, and then I also want pockets here and here. So when you do this, you want to make sure that the outside flap is facing the top so that you're going to glue or sew it. But I'm just going to go ahead and glue it because it's easier and I don't have to go back and forth to my sewing machine. So what I want to do is glue. First of all, I'm going to glue this down. Okay. And I'm just using art glitter glue because it dries clear, it's nice and strong, and it's got this nice little metal tip on it. So I can put the glue right where I want it. Okay, so we're just going to let that dry for a second. And then that will create a pocket here and here. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to want to do is glue it so that this is closed. I'm going to make a mark. What did I do with my pencil? Here we go. Oops. I'm going to make a mark right here and right here because we're going to glue this section closed. I'm going to go like that. So it's like a little Y shape. We're going to go from here to the center, here to the center, and then down to the point. And you only want to get glue on the top flap. Okay, so to my pencil mark and to the point, and then along this fold line, right down to the point. Okay, now we go ahead and close that up. So now what we have is we have a pocket here and a pocket here and a pocket here and a pocket here. So when we close this up, we're also going to glue here and here on the bottom of the flaps. But before I do that, I want to put a little bit of stamping on here. So what I decided to do, and I did it on the other one as well, is I'm just taking out my little acrylic script stamp, and hopefully it will stick well enough to the base. I better stick the pin in here, or else I'm not going to have any glue. Okay, so let's see. I think it would be a good idea for me just to kind of give that a little bit of a wipe. Should have already done this, but that'll make it stick better. Oh, excellent. Alrighty, so this little scripty stamp, I'm just going to do a little bit just to kind of give a little bit of an impression that there's something there. It's almost like a little secret. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, the other end. And of course this is optional, but I just kind of like the way it looks. Okay, so this is the top. So when you close it, you want to make sure you know that that's the top, because if you glue this part, what's going to happen, your pocket's going to be on the bottom. So we want to make sure that we know at all times which is the top. So at this point, again, you could sew through here if you want to, but I'm going to leave it just glued. And we're going to go ahead and glue this part to make this pocket. And here. Okay, easy peasy. Look it. That's it. Okay, so we just want to kind of burnish it down a little bit. This paper is nice and thin, so it works pretty well. On the other one that I made that I showed you, the cover is a little bit thicker. But isn't that cute? I mean, even though it's kind of a big pattern to start off with, it just, I think, makes it look really nice. It's not too overpowering. Alrighty, so I had to step away for a little bit and thought I'd come back and pick up almost where I left off. In the meantime, I decided I really did want a doily in there. So I had another sheet of the same piece of 12 by 12 scrapbook paper. So I went ahead and made another folder, but left this part open so that I could attach this copy dyed doily. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. All right, so just going to cut this in half. Okay. And I already like the way that looks. But let's put some, I'm just going to put the glue on the edge of this doily and then in the solid part in the center. So I hope you can see what I'm doing. So I just want to spread it out a little bit on the edge there. Hopefully without making too much of a mess. Turns out we had to run to town and take care of a couple of things, so I was off for a little bit. Okay, so that's this side. So the next thing I'm going to do is glue this part of the pocket down, or this part of the flap, which will create the pocket. A little bit more. You can use some of that tape runner stuff also for that process. Okay, same thing on the other side. So this is the back of the folder. The nice thing about this little folder is that you can do what I'm doing, which is make a little mini journal out of it, or you can leave it as it is and make it a card for somebody and send it in Happy Mail, or put it in, like, make it part of a bigger journal, set it maybe in the middle of a signature, something like that. So there are a lot of options, a lot of ways that you can use this little project. I also have some examples of ones that I've made out of smaller sheets of paper. So I'll remember to show those at the end here. Okay, now before I get involved doing the pages in the center, I want to do some things to the front, to the cover, to sort of jazz it up. So I have this little, kind of like a book plate that I made a while back, and I just kind of stamped it a little bit and inked around the edges. And I want to put it on the front, but I want some lace under it. And I had a piece of lace here. Oh, here it is. I just want to put a little bit of lace under there, kind of like so. So I'll just grab my fabric scissors so I can cut off a little bit on the end. I have scissors for paper and scissors for fabric, and I don't mix them up. Okay. Grab some fabric tack here. Ooh, goopy all over the top. Just put some glue on the solid parts, the most solid parts of the lace. Okay. There we go. We'll add that. Already it's getting a little bit of character, isn't it? All right. Get that on there. And I also want to add a little crocheted flower here, but not just a crocheted flower. What I also want to do is take this little shank button. Isn't it cute? There's a little shank clip in there, and I'm going to stick it through the hole here, and then attach it with the shank to the middle. Can you see that? There we go. And that way it's attached. It's not gonna come apart. So let me make sure you can see this. I'm holding it under the camera. There. Okay. Now I can glue the flower on with some fabric tack. And this little button will come into play later. Because it has actually a specific purpose. I found these little crocheted flowers at a garage sale, pretty much where I find everything. Okay, so that's done. All right, we'll come back to the front of this in a little bit. But in the meantime, want to get started on the paper. So I started out with some different paper in mind, but I decided to go with these. So this is a piece of handmade paper that I have. Also, this was from a travel journal that I found at a garage sale, just a plain kind of vanilla color, and then some coffee dye. So they all are going to need to be, they're going to need to fit in here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them down. And this is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a little over 5.5 tall. So I think I'm going to go with 5 1/4 to start off with. Let's go ahead and get these folded. And then we can get them all cut at the same time. Okay, so now I have my papers. And I do want to decorate them a little bit. This one is just some coffee dye with some that had a lace doily on it. This one, what I'd like to do is take this ribbon and just thread it through the holes. And gives it a nice little edge treatment. I don't know if I've already said this, because this video has been being made now over a little bit of time. So, but this is a really good project to use your scraps and just kind of give yourself an opportunity to use what you have left over from other projects. There. Now I can knot the ends, but since this is a kind of a small journal, I want to keep it as flat as I can. So I'm just going to glue them down. But I could put like a little dangle on it or something. How about if I put a little lock, I mean a key. Yeah, a lock. So these are not, you know, they're pretty flat for the most part. But I just think that's cute. There. Okay, we're gonna just glue it down. And if I want to, I can take a jump ring and attach a key like that. Okay. Okay, so we have the little signature here. It's pretty simple, plain, not overdone, but just, you know, has some interest on every page. So now I want to put the signatures in the little journal. And let's get you back where you belong. Trying to escape. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this little guy. Okay. So we just need to hold these in place. Trying to make sure they're lined up the way I want them. And they are. Okay, so I'm going to clip them in so they don't move around on me. Now what I want to do is I want to punch the holes in here, but I don't want the center hole to be exactly in the center. I want it to be a little above center, and it'll make sense when you see why I'm doing it this way. So we're just gonna poke the hole there, kind of above center a little bit, and then a little ways from the top and the bottom. And just grab my needle and my thread. All right, so just take a length that's 3 times the height of your journal, roughly. And find a needle with a big eye and a blunt point. And then, oh, I did it on the first try. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so we're just going to go in to the center hole. Did that not go all the way through? Yes, it did. Okay. And then up to the top hole. And through. And then down through the bottom hole. And then back through the center hole. But you want a tail on either side of this center string. Okay. Easy peasy. Now I want to even up these strings a little bit. Oops. Let's pull this one out this way. Okay, that's pretty good. Then you just tie it in a knot or a bow, and I'm feeling a little fumble fingery today, so I'm just going to tie it in a knot. And tie off the ends a little bit. You can trim it if you want to. Maybe I'll tie it up a little bit more. A little higher. There we go. And trim these off. Okay. Now the reason I wanted to tie this a little north of center is because I want to put a ribbon through, and I'm trying to decide if I want, well, I kind of like that. That's cute. Okay, so I'm going to do this about 4 times the width, 2 or 3.5 times or whatever, so about like that. This has a little bit of a wire in it. So what I want to do, I want this to go across the center of the journal, but if I have the hole right in the center, then I can't make it do that. So now you can tie it in a bow so it comes to the front, but what I'm going to do instead is bring it around the back like so, and then go over or under and around this button like that. And you can kind of twist these around if you want to make it pretty, or you can trim them or whatever, but I'm gonna leave them long for right now. Because I want to finish decorating the front of this. So I have, let's undo that for now. I have this little butterfly. Let's use upside down. There. this little butterfly that I want to put there. And I want to put some words on the front. So what I picked out for my words was Pocket Full of Whimsy, because that's kind of what this little journal makes me think of. So I'm going to, and the pattern in the paper kind of suggests it. I mean, it's kind of a whimsical floral pattern. Maybe you want to put some poems or something inside. Pocket Full of Whimsy. Now to make these little words, I use the margins of book pages so that I don't waste that part, because usually when I'm, making something, I don't always want the margins, but I save them and stamp words on them. Okay, and I'll show you those stamps in a second. They're really cool. I got them off of Amazon, and they're just these snap together stamps. Let's put that one on in a second. Let's do this one first so I can make it fit. Okay, now let's do the little butterfly. This is from an Edith Holden book. If you're not familiar with her work, she was a naturalist and drew beautiful flowers and, flora and fauna, insects, butterflies, things like that. Do we want this little butterfly here? I have a couple of other little butterflies that I was thinking about putting on, just because I think they're cute. And I don't think you can have too many butterflies. So, of course, you can decorate these any way you want. The possibilities are just endless. I think I want this little one over here. I like the colors in that one, but it needs to be inked. This one I fussy cut out of a Golden Book encyclopedia. I could spend hours fussy cutting. And actually, I do spend hours fussy cutting. Now for the back, need something there too. Just ink around a little bit. Gonna take off a little bit of the sheen, but I don't mind the sheen on these. I think it adds to it a little bit, especially on a little journal like this. It's, not overly vintage, which I love vintage, so, but I like to experiment with different styles too. Done steampunk and something super eclectic that I did for my husband that had a little bit of steampunk, a little bit of something else. A lot of vintage Seattle. Okay. And I think just a tiny little bit of bling is in order. Get these rolls at the dollar store. I'm going to need some more Fabri-Tac pretty soon. It's a good thing to buy when Joann has their 40% off of any, one regular priced item. Okay, what do you think? You think this is something you would like to try? You can go this way or grab them both. Like that. And trim them however long you want. Just trim them like so. All right, I like it. I'm going to call this one done. Okay, so I finished working on this one called A Pocket Full of Whimsy. Come in close so that you can see it. And you pretty much watched me create the whole thing online or on camera, but I'll just show you some of the tags that I came up with. So this one, I just used some of the Edith Holden, there were these little flowers that are in the Edith Holden book, and so I just used my circle punch and cut them out and attached them on the little strings. This one says A Touch of Novelty, and then a little bit of writing space there on the back. And then another little tag here with a stamp. Can you see it? Oh, maybe I should turn my light on. Is that better? Oh, there we go. Okay. It says Be Grateful. And again, some more writing space. And then inside, I finished decorating it more. I put some little collaging here with some birds, a little tag here. Let's see, some flower fussy cuts, more here, and some words, little tab. And so that's this one. Oh, I put a little poem here for some about making friends, and another tiny little tag here. And then just in the end places, the end pockets, I just put some papers for the user, for whoever gets this. They'll be able to use those papers to write on. I also created another one, a similar one, but a little bit different. I called this one Flutter by Fantasy. So you get it in the light. Okay. So similar, but just with some different tags. And I just used whatever was laying around on my desk. I had some scrap napkins, some music page, book page, things like that. So this is just really great for a scrap busting exercise, just for fun, just creating some fun things. Some clusters that I made a while back, another little poem here with some fussy cuts, a little bit bigger tag. Sorry about the lighting. I need a ring light. It says Dream Always on it. Give you a little bit of a flip through here. A little scrap of eyelet. Use your wings. And I wanted to show you the stamps that I use for these. These are these little snap together stamps. So what I do is you can make words out of these just by stamping them together, or snapping them. They're snap stamps. Try saying that 10 times fast. You snap them together to make words, and then I use the margins of book page that I have, and I use that to stamp my words onto. And some more of these little cutouts that I did with my little 3/4 inch circle punch. Butterfly dust on my nose. Some stenciling. And again, I just had scraps of things, just scraps of scrapbook paper laying around, and I just used everything that I could on my desk. So I made this little flip out. I had a piece of paper that I had put through my embosser, and then I just fussy cut this little picture out and wrote butterfly kiss, or stamped out butterfly kiss. And then there's a little journal spot right there. And then a couple more little tags that I have. So that's this one. Super simple. They take a few hours to do because I don't know about you, but I spend most of my time thinking about stuff, thinking about what I want to put in it. But actually super, super easy. And then this one is a little bit smaller. I made it out of a piece of music sheet, and I think I started with 8 by 8 or 8 by 10. I can't remember now, but it works out to be about 4 by 4. So I just put some twine around it, and I used up some scrap ribbon that I had. Get you a little bit closer. There you go. Some scrap ribbon that I had. This was all a black and white fussy cut, but I used my watercolor pencils to kind of just color it in a little bit. Then another, just a tiny little tag that I made out of some Tim Holtz packaging. And then use my little tiny attacher to just staple on this tiny little bit of sari silk. I did collaged a little piece, a little clock on there. And I don't have any pages in here. This is just a little flip out. You can put as a removable in a journal. And I just did some fun little collaging on it. I put some scrapbook paper inside because it was just too much of the music sheet. I wanted to give it a little bit more interest. So just made a couple of little tags, again out of just some packaging. They don't have to be very big to fit into these little tiny spaces. And this one was kind of fun because it was the end of a coupon for sport clips where my husband used to get his hair cut. And I was going to cover the whole thing, but I really just kind of liked the way that looked, just like that. So I left it and then put some paper on the back. A little bit of just a little journal spot here with some scrap fabric that I had laying around. And then on the back, I did some napkin decoupage and then another tiny little tag. So I hope you like this, and if you do, please give me a thumbs up and like, subscribe, and share. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. Again, this is Kathy at Attic Treasures, etc. And I hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Bye, everybody.